Hello. Welcome to Scotty's Toy Box. I'm Scotty. Today's video is going to be somewhat different than my normal subject matter. It's going to be very personal to me and maybe to a bunch of other people out there. The subject is hate. The subject, hate, affects all of us in different ways, from the ones hated to the haters. For today, I'd like to talk mostly about hating and what it does to you, or at least it did to me as a person, and why I try to erase the word from my vocabulary. I try never to use the words I hate. I will write I loathe, I detest, and all sorts of other words, because for me, that word hate has a special connotation, one that I think of as a poison. Okay, so let me give you some background. As many of you know, I belong to the Male Survivors website. It's a place where we can go and speak our piece, talk about our abuse, get replies and answers, and interact with people who understand and who went through what we've been through. And why many people are wonderful and caring. You can't understand what it's like to be daily raped as a child and how that affects your entire life, really, until you've lived through it. So there's a special connection between those who are abused. And sometimes we don't even agree on things, because oftentimes a lot of abused people will say they hate their abuser with a red hot, all white passion, with a passion so deep they can't describe it, and then they'll go on to try. The problem is that hate is not hurting the one you hate. That hate is hurting you. That's what I came to as a conclusion when I left the control of my abusers and saw what real family could be like with Ron's family. When I had Ron's gentle guidance to lead me into a better person, someone who didn't get angry at the dinner table and shout or bang plates or threaten, but simply talked. If there was a problem, said, why is this thing existing, this problem? Is there a way we can resolve it or work it out? It was a realization that some things didn't need to be addressed right then. Stuff that never happened in the family I grew up in. So, let's talk about what hate is and what it can do to you. My view of hate is it is a poison that eats you up, and it destroys the person hating far more then it destroys those that you hate. When I hated the Hellspawn siblings, that was just something for them to laugh at, to take mirth in. They didn't care. The adopting parents did not care that I hated what they did to me. It made it all the more sweeter. Same with the Hellspawn. The more I hated, the more I fought back, the more enjoyment they got. So who was the hate hurting? It wasn't hurting them. So anyway, that's the real issue with hate. And there's an even bigger issue. If you use hate and it does become hurtful to somebody, then aren't you being the abuser? Not to say that you shouldn't have disgust, dislike, anger, or take steps to mitigate something that's happening. But the word hate has a special meaning. I think that a lot of people use hate to build up a wall of protection around them. And I got that idea from Randy. You see, Sunday, I was having a bad day, thinking on this topic, and the reasons for it causes me great emotional distress. So I called Randy. I couldn't go to the people on MS because when I've tried to talk to them about hate, how I don't forget what my abusers did. But, when the adult male was dying, I gave him personal care. I cleaned the body that once forced me down. I gently handled the privates that were used to hurt me and urinate on me, and helped him to urinate when he needed to as he was dying. I treated him with dignity. And before he totally forgot who I was, I sat with him and told him, I forgive you. I'll forgive you for what you did so you can die with that knowledge. But I won't ever forget. And to my mind, I don't think he would have taken that as a comfort, because my forgiving him put me in a far higher status than his unforgiving nature could ever accept. I did the same with the adopting female. When it came her time to die, we moved her much quicker to hospice. So I didn't have to do the body care and that. But I did care for her while she was alive. I let her stay in our home, not our home. I couldn't do that, and Ron wouldn't ask me to. As a matter of fact, when they first started wanting to come to Florida, he made some hard, fast rules, and they found out that violating them got them thrown out. They only did it once. before they decided it wasn't worth doing it again. So that's quiet strength, Ron's strength. The only time I seen him ever get angry in 34 years was at how the adopted father treated me when he was in our home. And Ron wouldn't have it. So, we had a park model here, and we let them stay in it. They paid the rent. It didn't cost us a cent, other than, the purchase and upkeep. They did a lot of that. I will give them credit for that. So 6 months of the year they stayed here, and we cared for them and took care of their other needs. And when they were dying, Ron went and got them and brought them here and let them die in peace, because their own hellspawn was like vultures at the table, waiting to pick their bones clean. And they couldn't take it. So back to hate. What is hate? A lot of people use it, according to what Randy was talking to me about, as a shield, to put a barrier of emotion between them and the other persons, between them and their abusers, between those they think have wronged them, even if the other person doesn't know or doesn't care. Do you think the teenage boy who held my head in his hands and ordered me to do what I didn't want to do to him for him cared that I hated him for it? No. Anyway, hate separates you from reality. It does. You ask, how does it do that? It builds up a scenario in your head of your own righteousness. And you forget there's maybe those who have some reason to hate you, or to at least dislike what you did, or none of us have walked through this life without having some impact on others, and not all of it has been beneficial for everybody. So, you can get stuck on hate. It's a feedback loop. That's why it works for Fox News. That's why these anti-trans people use it. If you Google trans people, you don't get a story about the kids who killed themselves, or the older trans people who are just worn out and tired of just trying to live. What you get are stories of trans women on sports teams, because that's the hate the right wants to drive. That's what hate brings. There's like a 0.0001% of the population that's trans, and most states don't even have a trans girl playing sports. Yet they're passing laws right and left. Most school districts don't have a trans child in them. They're passing bathroom bills. Why? Because it's hate. And hate is like candy to some people. It builds in them. It feeds on itself. They feel righteous in their hate. My God tells me who to hate, and he hates the very same people I do. What a great God. A God built on hate. Really? That's who you want to worship? Anyway, hate can become violent and destructive. We've seen that. We've seen how it brings violence to drag queen story hours. People in costumes, men in costumes, dressed up, reading funny little children's books to little children with their parents there. A good time to be had for all. It used to be joyous occasions. Libraries always were booked for the events. Bookstores held them. And then hate moved in. Hate for something people didn't understand. They claimed it confused kids and other things. 5, 6, 7-year-old kids aren't interested in the costumes of the person reading the story, other than it attracts their attention and it's different and it's spangly and it's over the top, like any costume. Just like Halloween costumes. And the kids were enthralled by the reading of the book. Have you ever watched one of these? I've watched some. They're entertaining for me as an adult. Why wouldn't a kid be entertained? Some of these readers, these drag queens, put a lot of effort into making the books memorable and come to life for those kids. But hate caused grown men to storm into libraries and terrify little kids, make threats, badger their parents, and scare the be-dickens out of little kids. That's what hate can do. Hate is a very destructive and violent force. Hate causes a white woman who didn't like the neighbor's black children playing in an empty field to go over and shoot her. Shoot their mother, killing her. Hate took a life. Hate takes lives every day in this country. I knew a young gay man who was beaten to death because people hated. And he didn't do a dang thing to them. He was walking home from school, from college one night. And these men grabbed him and beat him to death because he was gay. They hated him for that. How did they know he was gay? They just thought he looked gay. The fact that he was meant nothing, really. They were out to bash faggots. That's hate. Do you want that in your life? I don't. I don't want that feeling anywhere near me. And I work hard to extinguish it wherever I find it. One of the things that surprised the people on the male survivor site was I could do what I said. I put my hate aside and used my professional training to care for my abusers, my adoptive parents, when they were dying. Why would I do that? Because not to do that would be a reflection on me, not them. It would be the crowning achievement in their torturing of me to make them just like them. And I won't be like them ever in any way, in any of the things they did. It's a hard struggle because I was immersed in their years, in their world, for 17 full years, and then intermittently over the next 5 or 6 years before Ron could give me a clean break. So for me to have allowed their hate to poison my system would have not made me the person I want to be, the person I believe I am, the person I became. I am Scotty. I care. So, decide who you want to be, not who others want to make you. Drag queens and people transitioning learn this about themselves from a very young age. So do abuse victims. Don't let the haters decide who you're going to be. You decide, and you work to become that person. Just like if you want to be an architect, you learn all about it. If you want to be a computer programmer, you study it and become one. If you want to be a good person, you learn and become a good person. Not part-time, but always. You do what you have to do, what you have to change to be the person you want, not the person the haters, the angry people want to make you. And you will far surpass them in every turn, just by being what they don't want you to be. So, after several hours of conversation with Randy, he wrote me a note. And I thought about taking it apart and using just parts of it. But it was such a wonderful note, I'm going to read it in its entirety. So this is from Randy, my found brother. Hi, Scotty. This is a bit of a word salad, a rift. Hope it helps. The allure and toxicity of hate. Hate is an easy word to use. It is seductive, infectious, deceptive, and debilitating. It destroys the user as it seems to protect him. It is like a cover over the vulnerability that acts as a defense against reality. It is said to hate. It is said that to hate, as in to set off in vengeance, is to dig 2 graves, because it will cause someone to destroy themselves in the pursuit of destroying their target. It is a throw-away word in our culture, but it does have a definition. It is a violence of emotion, an extreme. It is confused with anger, with dislike, with disappointment. Sorry, tears in my eyes here. Randy is a wonderful writer. Randy has skills with words, and it's how we first met. And I hope he will continue to use them. Okay, so to go on with what he wrote. It is a violence of emotion and extreme. It is confused with anger, with dislike, with disappointment. People who have heard, I hate you, directed at them, either dismiss it or find it horribly injurious. Hate is an obsession. Hate is like nitrous for cars. It may have a use in short bursts, but too much will destroy the engine. Hate will cause one to be blind to reality. Hate insulates, denies reality, protects vulnerabilities, and it destroys the ability to recover, to grow, to become more. You asked why you didn't hate. I believe you grew beyond it. You took on the abuse heaped on you as some sort of penance. You took it on as a way to make things better. Typical with manipulated children. They think it is their fault somehow because you experience that in that way. You are a caring, fix-it type of person, but more because you are a grown man rather than a juvenile delinquent in an adult body. And I really do like that he threw that in there, because as old as my adopting father got, he never lost that bar brawling teenager that was somewhere inside him, who always thought he had to be right and beat everybody around him into submission. You moved past, let me start that whole sentence again because I really like it, but more because you are a grown man rather than a juvenile delinquent in an adult body. You move past the hate and blame in many ways, but still in many ways grieve the injury in denial of needs of love and to give love. When we face hate, we have a choice. What will this make us? What will we become? How will we move beyond this? And I think Randy is entirely right. And that was a decision I had 30 years ago. Who was maybe a little more? Because it started when I first went into the military and saw other people and how other people lived, and realized that I could make a difference in people's lives. Who did I want to be? Who did I want to become? As Randy wrote, what will this make of us? What will we become? How will we move beyond this? My way to move beyond it was to remove hate and that emotion from my being, from my life. Do I get angry? Yes. Do I sometimes get rageful? Well, not in the way that many make it sound. I'm not a bull in the china shop. But do I get incensed at injustice, at abuse towards others? Of course. I'm human. But I won't let hate linger in my body. I will not give in to the negativity of that emotion, because I think it does more harm. It kills more of the being you want to be, the being you are. So fight back, fight strongly, fight with all the unity and love you can. And if you have to fight dirty, do so. But do not make your enemy an it, a thing, an unhuman. Fight the good fight. Don't do it in hate, because you lower yourself to their level. And there is an old saying, I have no idea if it's true or not, but it says, don't get into the mud and wrestle the pig, because the pig will just enjoy it and you'll lose and end up all covered in mud. I think Mark Twain said something similar. Don't get into an argument with a fool. They'll drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. So, don't return hate with hate. Return it with something far, far more powerful. With love, with intelligence, with a clear-headed desire to make a better world. Hate never made a good world. Hate makes lousy choices. Make a better world. Be a better you. Remove hate from you, as I've had to remove it from me, because it was killing me and it was going to make me like my abusers. And that's what they wanted, and they never got it. Anyway, thanks for listening. This was a personal video for me. Welcome to my world. This is Scotty's Playtime. I'm Scotty. As always, best wishes for everyone, and hugs for those that enjoy them.